Well, hello and a very warm welcome to another episode of Off the Leash, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with Premier Greyhound Racing. We are up to episode 48. Everyone loves a good semi, and it's semi-final week this week at Newcastle and Monmore, and we're in good company. The Racing Post open race correspondent, as ever, Tony Bullen joins us. Tony, the action in Wolverhampton and the North East is beginning to warm up nicely.
Yeah, and there's all to play for in both events, Dave. There was some thrills and spills in both competitions last week, and that first two to qualify in the semis is always heartbreaking for connections, but exciting for the purists.
Absolutely. You know the drill. If you are watching us, if you're new to Off the Leash, remember to like, comment and subscribe. If you're watching us on the Racing Post YouTube channel, drop us a comment in there. Or if you're watching us on Facebook as well, the Racing Post Grounds Facebook page, drop us in a comment. Who do you fancy? We've got the Northern Puppy Derby and the Winter Derby, two red-hot competitions, both at the semi-final stage. Are you clutching anything fancy anti-post, or are you pulling the trigger this week? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll read them out on next week's show. Right, what have we got coming up then? So I mentioned it is semi-final week. We're going to start at Monmore. We had 6 first-round heats last week. First 3 go through. And then we'll have a look at Newcastle. Not all of the heats, because a couple of dogs went over. Thankfully, everyone and all the dogs are okay. I think most of them, if not all of them, completed. But we don't want to see that. So we're just going to pick out a few of the replays as we preview the semi-finals there. We are going to start at Monmore. A couple of notable non-runners before we kick off. Kilmore Dancer and Longacres Magic are both out. As ever, Tony, this is a brilliant competition. It's quite a new competition. I think it's only a couple of years old. But Monmore, a speed track. It's an early competition, but it's always a red-hot event.
Yeah, very hotly contested event, and this year's no exception, Dave. I mean, I know we always touch on Monmore as a speed track, but it is also a fair track. I mean, if you're good enough to come from off the pace, you certainly can if you get the gaps and the daylight when it matters.
Right, well, let's have a look then. What unfolded in last weekend's first round heats. 480 metres, 1 lap of the track. And we kicked off in heat number 1, Gary the Arb, who's like a fine wine with age. He's getting stronger and he's getting better. And I'll tell you what, he loves it around Monmore as well. We did the business here in trap 1. Romeo still in 3. Droopy's extra good in 4. Winning time 28.43. Very strong, this lad, Gary the Arb. He's got form over 6 bends as well, Tony. But as I've mentioned, he loves it at Monmore.
Yeah, he does. He connections had obviously built him up nicely in preparation for the event proper, because he had warmed up with some good performances. Obviously, Lynx Maverick, he's looking to cut loose from the pack, but this Romeo Still dog, he's a nuisance dog for sure. He can go toe to toe with the best on the run of the turn. He did so during the eclipse at Nottingham, but they set the race up for Gary the Arb. Once he had looked after himself, Gary the Arb, and didn't get into any serious traffic, you know he's proven over the 6 bend distance. So once he got run and a shot at the leaders, he was always going to prove too strong, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he's powerful, and he's not afraid to go up the inside, round the outside. He tracks cleverly, doesn't he? Yeah,
he certainly does. I mean, I was impressed with him when he ran at Toaster. I think that was sort of the making of the dog. It was like, hang on a minute, he sort of switched on. He was struggling with a bit of consistency, and he all of a sudden switched on with the dog, and he must be one of those dogs, you know, you're going to put in the van, take him to any track in the country, and he'll run his race for you.
Yeah, an absolute privilege, I'm sure, to own and train. Belinda Green going great guns with her Gary the Arb. That was heat 1. Heat 2, then Millbank Boiler in trap 1, 28.36 doing the business. Scooby the Boss in trap 2. Iams of Sydney in 4. Now, Millbank Boiler, misbreak out of trap 1 at Romford. Not the case here at Monmore, though. This was a really good display.
Yeah, he's a very fast dog when everything clicks. I mean, he's an all-or-nothing type. He's not going to be coming from off the pace to win his races, but when he gets it right at the boxes, he normally wins his races in bold fashion and posts a decent clocking. I know connections, they probably preferred him draw middle. I think trap 1, they was sort of calling a bit of a hoodoo box, but he did the business on this occasion, needed to look sprightly. And he's a dog that you'd never really want to be in with, Dave, because you know he can he's got that early pace, and he's a difficult dog to clear when he traps on terms.
Yeah, really nice type for Gemma Evans and all the lads involved. Some really good lads involved. John Rack as well is one of my favourite people in dog racing. If you go to Romford Dogs, it's 101 that John Rack is going to be there. He's like one of the fixtures in at the London Road Circuit. But he loves the game. He'll travel all round the country to watch his dogs run. A Millbank Boiler, a real special dog. And as Tony said, when he does it right at the boxes, he is a real handful. Although, look away when we get to the semi-finals in terms of the draw. But we'll get on to that. Heat 3, Kilmore Dancer then. I think this was the talking point for probably all the wrong reasons in the first round. Kilmore Dancer, 28.56 in trap 3. Now it's my turn in 1. Keyfield Rocky in trap 6. Now, Kilmore Dancer has been lighting up the track at Toaster. Very fast. No signs of any quirkiness or anything going on, Tony. However, in trap 3 here, joins the leader on the run-in and definitely has a little peep inside.
Yeah, I mean, the Narek Smarturn dog, he was nibbled at in the market for Richard Rees, and he looked like he had taken a stranglehold of the contest, because you've got to take into account the dog's run over 575 metres at Romford, and he's not a short runner by any stretch. But Kilmore Dancer, I mean, as you say, he's been lighting up the track at Toaster. He sort of like set his sights on the leader. And then as he's got there, he's definitely had a conversation and some. I mean, obviously, listen, the racing officer put eased and crowded and led near line. It was an awkward, easily marked awkward. But the dog's got pace. These dogs can do that to strong running types. And Kilmore Dancer managed to win the race, but he's a ticking time bomb, in my opinion.
Okay, subsequently withdrawn. Race card comment just says withdrawn by stewards. Don't know anything. What is it? 20 past 11 on the Wednesday morning. So we're trying to find a little bit more out on his withdrawal, but he has been withdrawn. Kilmore Dancer. Right, we'll move on to heat number 4, Droopy Superstar. This was a really nice performance. I like this one. In trap 4, 28.53, Jetstream Angel in trap 1, and Proper Heiress in trap 3. It was a red-hot favourite for this race. And it was a good race as well. This was probably the race of the round. And some big guns missed out here. It got a little bit messy at the turn. I thought the winner did it well. But yeah, it was rough and ready at that first bend. Yeah,
it was a red-hot heat. But if I was connected with Droopy Superstar, I would have preferred to be in a heat like this, because there's going to be a bit of trouble. And Droopy Superstar, he was never really going to be in the mix on the dash to the turn. So once they've all sorted themselves out, your dogs like Churchfield, Sid, El Torneo, Jetstream Angel, they all sort of looking to win the early battle, but they can't all go around in front. So Droopy Superstar, he took his chance really well here. I mean, again, he's avoided the crowding, but he still had to lay it down in the latter stages. And boy, did he do so, because Jetstream Angel, she's no back number, Dave.
No, she was, of course, the bitch that finished runner-up to No Rush in the Oaks 2 years ago. No Rush was subsequently disqualified, and she was awarded the race. So officially an Oaks winner there in Jetstream Angel, Droopy Superstar. For Mike Burton and the 7 Racing Club, we've got a lovely team of dogs at the moment. Look out for a nice youngster they've got called Droopy's Aladdin, who's got all the early pace in the world. So Mike got a nice team of dogs. Let's move on to heat number 5 then. This was Droopy's pivotal Derby semi-finalist doing the business here for the JR Racing Syndicate and Maxine Lock. 28.46, Sunnyside Broxy in trap 3 and Unanimous Leon in trap 2, Tony.
Yeah, if I had to give a performance at around the Wald, I would give it to Droopy's Pivotal. I thought the dog had an absolute stormer of a race. I mean, Unanimous Leon showing that he's a real competition dog for Connections last year, and he's all action from the off. He set the target for the others to aim at, but Deedon and half knuckled down to the task is Droopy's Pivotal. He's a dog that I really liked. When he opened his account at Hove, I thought he was a dog to keep an eye on, and as you touched on, went very deep in the Derby at Toaster, but I just really like the attitude that he showed here, Droopy's Pivotal. And the runner-up, Sunnyside Broxy, also ran a stormer to qualify.
Yeah, I'll put up in price-wise in the Racing Post, 50-1. I was delighted by the way in which Sunnyside Broxy ran. Formerly known as Ballymac Gizmo as well, which slips under the radar a little bit there. Really nice title. I think the first and the second strong running sort is going to be tough to keep out the frame in this event. And I mentioned to Unanimous Leon as well, who's got all the pace in the world. And will always be some sort of threat. Right, let's move on to heat number 6. Now, the 3 Steps to Victory champion, Queen Georgia, was a market mover, not just to win this heat, but also for outright honours as well. There's lots of each-way money around for her. 28.32, she didn't disappoint. I think she was the quickest as well in the first round. Untold Rubble in trap 4, cut out all the running. Long Acres Magic, who, of course, as I mentioned, subsequently withdrawn, did qualify in trap 2. She's very classy. Liz McNair's 3 Steps to Victory champion. She starts and she stays.
Yeah, she's versatile. She copes with the 6 bends and drops back in distance. But, I mean, they got very quick away for Untold Ruble, which I thought if you watch them out of the boxes, I thought well, Queen Georgia deserves the same comment then. But it was more early pace from Untold Ruble than the very quick away, in my opinion. But Queen Georgia, even though she sort of the Untold Ruble bitch stole a march, you knew that Queen Georgia was just going to up the ante from the third bend home. What a race. It was a thrilling race because Queen Georgia only just got there in the latter stages. Good run from the pair of them because they was a couple of lengths clear of the third, which is always a good sign of a good race when the others are strung out like washing. Yes,
I tried to swim against the tide a little bit there. There was plenty of money for Queen Georgia. I thought went off probably a little bit too short. So I went with Untold Ruble. I thought we'd get off the front. So heartbreak for myself and other backers of Untold Ruble, which has got pace. Listen, I would always be adamant that you want to be off the front at Monmore. So I take my hat off to any dog that can come from off the speed. And we saw it in abundance in that first round. The likes of Queen Georgia, Droopy's Pivotal, and the likes. You can come off from off the speed, as Tony mentioned. Now then, right, you've seen all the dogs that have qualified. We've had 2 come out. As they went into the drum, there were 17 railers and just the 1 seeded dog, which makes for quite grim viewing when it comes to the draw. We just want to see clean racing. Let's have a look at that draw then. Right, first semi-final, 6:48 on Saturday night. Once again, 10 out of 10 effort from the guys and girls at Ladbrokes and Corals. First out the boxes with the heat betting, and we've got it here for you. Droopy Superstar, 7-1. Queen Georgia, 11-8. Droopy's Extra Good at 8. Scooby the Boss, 4-1. 5 is Vacant with Longacres Magic coming out. And Proper Heiress at 15-8. Now, 5 coming out makes the draw a little bit more sufferable for Proper Heiress, but this is a dog who is a very tight railer.
Yeah, but I think 5 coming out is massive. It's a massive help for Proper Heiress. There's not a great deal of natural early speed in this particular heat, Dave, and the draw probably isn't as tricky now as it looks on paper. That said, I still felt that Queen Georgia would have the legs of Droopy's Superstar and Droopy's Extra Good. And I just think that now she's sort of back in the groove, Queen Georgia. I think she's the one to be within this heat. But at the prices, I mean, I wouldn't want to be laying 2-1, 15-8 Proper Heiress because we know how good he is.
Yeah, and we'll have a little look at the outright market. I've been through the semi-finals. The first 2 in the betting are in this race. It's going to be 2 votes. Tony's with Queen Georgia. I'm with Queen Georgia as well for the exact same reason, in that Droopy's Superstar, as impressive as he was in the first round, I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold Queen Georgia to the bend. And I think she'll take the rail at the turn. And even if Proper Heiress is maybe on her shoulder, by her side, she's got the inside line. So I think she might be in front as they enter the back straight, in which case I think she'll be very, very hard to beat. So 2 votes for Queen Georgia there. Right, let's move on to semi-final number 2 then. And this race will be the 7:22 at Monmore on Saturday night. Semi-final number 2, Kilmore Dancer is out of trap 2. Romeo still on the inside in trap 1, 7-2. Then we've got Vacant, Jetstream Angel, 7-1. Gary the Arb, 11-10. Iams of Sydney, 6s. Millbank Boiler, 100-30. I'll tell you where I am. I actually quite liked Kilmore Dancer in this race to be with Romeo still, because I thought they could rush to the turn together and Romeo still might just cause a little bit of trouble because he's not the tightest of railers and he'd be away and gone. And at sort of 5-1, I was willing to take a chance with him off the front. Kilmore Dancer coming out, I think, helps Gary the Arb a lot more than it does anyone else in here. Obviously, a strong running dog, a 5-runner format will suit. I'm still going to go with Romeo still, but I'm very, very fearful of Droopy's Pivotal, of Gary the Arb. It's a strong running soul, and I think he can weave a way through. He's going to be very, very hard to beat here.
Yeah, I'm with Gary the Arb. I mean, the worst thing that Gary the Arb can do is ping. I think that's the worst thing. If I was connected with him, I'd just like, Mr. Break fella, let them sort themselves out, because a few of these, if Millbank Boiler's headed early, he's going to be up against it. Jetstream Angel, she's at her best off the front. Romeo still, he's at his best off the front. And all right, the Iams of Sydney dog, he does stay well. But I just think Gary the Arb, if he can just slot in by this time, I think he'll loom large at the third bend, Dave, and bring that stamina into play.
I can imagine you sitting at home having a few quid on Gary the Arb and saying that exact thing. Just miss the break, fella. Like, this is a safe place, Tony. Do you ever talk to the dogs before the before they go into the boxes or when the
You
hair's
just say it out loud, don't you? You sort of say to yourself, "Oh, just missed the break," or sometimes I find myself sitting there steering like I'm playing a PlayStation game.
Clear run. With any sort of clear run, Gary the Arb is going to be very hard to beat there. 11-10. I'll take a chance with Romeo still off the front. We like the early pace at Monmore. Right, semi-final number 3, 7.56. Unanimously on 11-4. Sunnyside Broxy 10s. Droopy's Pivotal 3-1. Now it's my turn. 7s. Untold Ruble 9-4. Kiefer Rocky, the only seeded dog in here. The middle, in trap 6. The British Bred Derby champion up at Sheffield. 9-2 for Phil Milner. Unpack this one for us, Tony. Where are you at?
Yeah, this is tricky. I mean, I think you could run this numerous times and probably get a different result, but one's a million to lead on the inside for me. I think even if a missed break, he'll pace up, lead round on the rails. I mean, Untold Ruble is very game, but she's going to have to do everything right to win the early battle. But I was so impressed with Droopy's Pivotal last weekend. I think that he can hold his position here and use that middle pace to really reduce the deficit on the leaders, and I think he'll grab unanimously on late at once again. So I'll be with Droopy's Pivotal.
Yeah, 2 votes for Droopy's Pivotal. The prices, I think because I don't think he lacks early pace, but he's not going to live with some of these to the turn. He probably won't be the favourite. But if these 6 dogs all had solos, I'd have the lot on him going quickest. So any sort of clear run, I think 3-1's a very, very fair price. 2 votes for Derby semi-finalist there, Droopy's Pivotal, who, much like Gary the Arb, is a strong running dog who loves it at Monmore. So 2 big players for outright honours. And here is the outright book as well. Let's bring it to you. I mentioned that the first 2 in the market go in that first semi-final. 4-1 Queen Georgia, 11-2 Proper Heiress, 13-2 Gary the Arb, 8-1 Kilmore Dancer, who is out now. So scratch that one. 10-1 Scooby the Dancer, 12-1 Untold Ruble, 16's Bar. Now, with Kilmore Dancer coming out, the market's not really been reformed, if you like, or settled since that withdrawal, because as I mentioned, we're recording this quite early on a Wednesday, and that news has just broken. We'll take the market at face value as it sits in front of us right now, Tony. Anything catch the eye? You want to go with anything at the head of the market? Any each way plays? How do we see it?
I'll take a chance with Droopy's Pivotal, I mean, I think the dog's back in the groove. His confidence is back, and I think that the prices, I know he's in a tricky heat, but we'll take our chances. It's wide open. Gary the Arb's obviously going to prove popular because he looks like a dog that's going to qualify, even if he's a dog that could finish a scrappy second, even if it don't go his way in his race, Dave.
Yeah, he feels like the sort of each way play to nothing, doesn't he, Gary the Arb? He's going to get through to the final. Then you've got 3 places. You'd back him to kind of how strong he is to be kind of in the mix in that final. So, yeah, it'll appeal to few. 13-2. He's a big player. I'm with you, Droopy's Pivotal, and probably quite foolishly as well. If I was playing now, I'd probably back 2. One being Droopy's Pivotal, and the other one, unfortunately, is in the same race, and he only got the first 2 going through. But I thought Sunnyside Broxy at 50-1 was 50-1 at the start of the event, and I didn't think run too badly. Obviously, the competition's cut up a little bit, and we're now top heavy with railers, but this is a Derby finalist, Ballymac Gizmo, now with Ted Soppit, and I thought 50-1, this dog could easily qualify, and then what price is he to be in the first 3 coming home? So for the each way money, I'll be with Droopy's Pivotal and Sunnyside Broxy myself. Right, Tony, before we dive into the Arena Racing Company Northern Puppy Derby, which is as ever a fantastic competition, let's talk replays. If you are tuning in, I'm sure you're aware. If you're not, what have you been doing? We are absolutely delighted to break new ground for the sport of greyhound racing here at the Racing Post. Our Greyhound Bet website and app now facilitates all of the Premier Greyhound Racing replays. We've already had the SIS replays for a number of years. Now we are the one-stop shop. We are the place to come to get clued up. Come and watch the replays, whether you're watching your own dog, a dog you train, a dog you own. If you work in the kennel, you can come and watch the dog. It's free to use. The archive goes back very, very far for the PGR replays. I think we're about 3 months with SIS. We got there in the end, Tony. This is what we should have had for years. Just giving punters all the tools they need to get clued up and have a wager. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, like Greyhound Bet's always coming for a lot of stick when you used to get the spinning disc, but it is the go-to site. It's easy to navigate. And I know, like, all credit, people don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, but I know you've been smashing your head against the wall for at least 10 months, Dave, trying to get this over the line. Obviously, dog racing will take the back burner to the bigger sports that are out there, but it's finally happened. Your persistence is paid off. I know the first few days there's been a couple of glitches, but it's been sorted now, and the replays are at least there the day after, but they should be there within 15, 20 minutes, even quicker going forward. You need it. This day and age, it should have been there years ago. It's finally there, and all credit to you.
Well, yeah, I think some of the greys in there may be having to do with this, but we got there in the end, and it's free to use. You don't have to log in. You don't have to do anything. They are just there for you, as well as the lifetime form as well, which is absolutely essential. It's all laid out as we think and hope that punters would like it to be. Very simple, very easy, and as I mentioned, free to use. So jump on the Greyhound Bet website. Listen, you can just Google Greyhound Bet. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've probably got the app. Mobile, desktop, the whole lot, and it works. It works okay. You know, a couple of days testing, and then it broke when we implemented it, but we are there now, and I'm pretty confident that within 15 minutes of any race, the replay will be available. So groundbreaking stuff, but it's about time as well. But we're absolutely delighted to announce that at the back end of last week. We got there in the end. Right, let's move on then. Let's go to the northeast. Let's go to Brough Park, Newcastle, for the Arena Racing Company Northern Puppy Derby. It's a brilliant competition. First puppy competition of the year. It always attracts a good field. This year, a little bit of Irish flavour to it as well. A couple of Robert Gleeson runners. We're not going to show all the replays. Dogs came here, whether they were based in the UK or from Ireland, without a look, which is a really difficult thing to do for an experienced dog, let alone a young dog. And we saw a bit of trouble, didn't we, Tony, in the first round?
Yeah, it was. As I say, Newcastle's a tricky circuit to run, even if you're a local, let alone coming there blind and being youngsters as well. It adds even more fuel to the fire, Dave. But as I say, the event's unravelling pretty well. It looks a few above average types in there once again.
Yeah, always a good comp. £12,500 up for grabs in next week's final. Semi-finals on Thursday night. Let's jump to it then. 7:44, semi-final number one. Ballymac Lucia 7-4 on. Greenwell Crazy 33s. Incolexi 9-2. Sunnyside Trish 9-2. Anadown Alice 10s. Greenwell Tyson 10s. We are going to look at Deliveroo doing the business, who doesn't feature in this race, but keep your eyes on the runner-up, Ballymac Lucia, who is the odds-on favourite in Trap 2. Runner-up in the Puppy Oaks up at Toaster. Deliveroo did 28.53, fastest time of the opening round. Sunnyside Jaden was back in third, 6, 2 and 5. But the blue jacket here, she's a powerful bitch, isn't she?
Yeah, she traps. She's got no problem getting herself out of the boxes, but she just lacks a yard or two to the turn, and she got shuffled back in her ears on this occasion. Up front, Sunnyside Jaden bowling along in front, but he does sort of run out of steam in the latter stages. And Deliveroo's unbeaten on home soil over course and distance for Tom Hilbrun. He's showing the right attitude once again. But look at the running that Ballymac Lucia ended up doing. I mean, had no business finishing that close after turning where she did. But yeah, the market principles dominated here and safely through to the semis, Dave.
Yeah, I really like this bitch, this Ballymac bitch in the red jacket here. She's a short price to win this. I'm not sure 480 is going to be her game. You know, she looks like 500 metres, a nice gallop will do her. As we saw at Toaster, you know, she went ever so close to winning that Puppy Oaks finishing runner-up. My concern, I think she'll win this, but my concern going forward would be in next week's final, maybe something will just get first run on her. But I think they'd be absolutely delighted the way the draws worked out.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, the draws worked out extremely well, and you'd expect her to be in the final next week.
Okay, right. She is a short price, and rightly so, for that first semi-final. 8:01 on Thursday night, semi-final number 2. We've got Westside Butch at 6-1 in Trap 1. Toolmaker Quick, 4-1. Ballymac Axel, 3-1. Sunnyside Jaden, who we just saw finishing third there. 16. Strippies Deploy, 5-2. Deliveroo, that we just saw doing the business at 5-2. Now, we're going to have a look at 2 grounds here that reoppose. Ballymac Axel won heat number 4 from Trap 3, 28.63. Westside Butch in the red jacket They do battle again. Westside Butcher's got bags and bags of early pace. But again, Ballymat Axel, really nice type. We saw him down at Central Park Show. A fantastic attitude, a will to win. And we saw that again here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've watched this a few times because like Ballymat Axel dog looked like he was going to probably come through and win comfortably. But the Westside Butch dog, he seemed to just fiddle the third bend. And that's when I thought the Ballymat Axel dog was going to kick and win by a couple of yards. But Westside Butch seemed to go again, and they was even locked together after the line. So I sort of couldn't really put my finger on the performance of the winner or the second. It was a tricky one. I didn't know whether the second was chasing or it was just an awkward race to ponder. But there's no doubt that the Westside Butch dog will open his account soon. But Ballymat Axel, again, Maxine Locke's team, she's got a nice batch of dogs at the moment to go to war with.
Yeah, I think we seem to say that on every show, don't we? Maxine Locke, the JR Racing Syndicate, they've got Ballymat Loose here in the first semi. They've got Ballymat Axel here. And of course, they've got Yahoo Maisie in the third semi. So a very, very talented young team of dogs in that kennel. However, let's look at this semi-final number 2. Now, 5-2 joint favourites around the outside, Droopy's Deploy and Deliveroo. Are they for you, Tony?
I'll be with Deliveroo, but I think the Droopy's Deployed dog's going to improve a bomb. Even the Toolmaker Quick dog. I mean, he had a soft first round assignment, but his sunny side Jaden doesn't really get the distance, but he's certainly nuisance factor in the early stages. So I'll be with the unbeaten Deliveroo for Tom Hilbron.
Yeah, I think that one's 4 from 4, I think, at Newcastle. I like Droopy's Deploy. I think the switch away out into trap 5. I'm not sure how much he would have learned about Newcastle last week, because he seems to just run off at the bend and it cause all sorts of problems. But he's clearly fast. Some of his clocks in Ireland, official and by all accounts unofficial, are very, very good. And Robert Gleeson is certainly not travelling over to make up the numbers. National Puppy Stake finalist. And I think he'll open his account in the UK here from trap 5. But an interesting race. How will he corner at the turn? And Deliveroo, as Tony mentioned, is unbeaten over course and distance. So they're the big two in the market there. Right, let's move to semi-final number 3, the 8.19 at Newcastle. Now, the top is empty here. Unfortunately, Broadway Shay has been withdrawn. So we go vacant, Nothing Mad 25s, Fraser 12s, Yahoo Maisie 4-9, Infield Pep 6s, Swift Bullseye at 3-1. Once again, big thumbs up to the team at Ladbrokes and Corals, first out the boxes with the semi-final prices for us. 4-9, Yahoo Maisie. She is, of course, the Puppy Oaks champion at Toaster. She has got bags and bags of early pace, and this is what she did in the first round. 28.62. She was in Heat 3, Trap 3. Sunnyside Trish in Trap 4. Greenwell Tyson in 6 with the other 2 qualifiers. This bitch is tailor-made for Newcastle for me. She flies to the turn. She runs the bends well. She's going to be a real handful.
Yeah, she won the Puppy Oaks at Toaster, Dave. And what was more impressive about this, she had to work for the victory. It wasn't all plain sailing around the opening couple of bends, but she's knuckled down to the task really well. I know the 2 dog got struck into at the third bend, but Yahoo Maisie was coming to win the race regardless at that point. And yeah, I like the way she saw out the trip extremely well. And 28.62, considering she ain't banged off the front and made all, was a good run.
Was a good run. Yeah, looks a really, really nice type. And I think the summer going, etc., will all be a factor and play a part for her. And with that early pace, she'll win plenty more races as well. She's already, of course, won a big event. Right, let's have a look at the outright book then, shall we? Well, I'm assuming Yahoo Maisie is going to be your selection there, Tony. She's very short. She doesn't take much finding.
I couldn't play in the race. The reason is this Swift Bullseye dog.
Yeah.
He's a chaser. Like he's shown a winning attitude, but he's nuisance. He's the sort of dog that could give her plenty to think about, Swift Bullseye. So I think it'd be more of a what I would still be with Yahoo Maisie, but don't ignore Swift Bullseye because he can go show that extra yard to go alongside any dog, in my opinion.
Well, there's more than one way to attack a race and bet on a race. What would we say? Maybe a place bet on Swift Bullseye. Yeah,
I mean, I know the infield Pep got well beat by Swift Bullseye last time, but he could be the type of dog to come in and cause an upset as well. It'll be an interesting race because it all revolves around what Swift Bullseye does, in my opinion.
Okay, well, there you go. I made the assumption that 4 to 9 was going to be straightforward and 2 simple votes, but maybe not straightforward there from Tony, as the market suggests anyway. So look out for that semi-final number 3 on Thursday night. Remember, all the action live on the Sky Sports Racing channel behind the red button, and of course on the Premier Greyhound Racing stream. Let's have a look at the outright market then. 17 remain. We're up to the semi-final stage of the Arc Northern Puppy Derby. Droopy's Deploy 9-2, Ballymac Lucia 5s, Deliveroo 6s, Yahoo Maisie 6s, Toolmaker Quick 15-2, Ballymac Axel 10s, and it is 16 bar. It's still very competitive. Now, a very shrewd judge who'd be a little bit more switched on in Ireland than I would be, was telling me earlier this week that the 5-2 was too big about Droopy's Deploy, and the 9-2 was huge. So we might see that price move. But he's clinging on to favouritism from Ballymac Lucia, who had to be respected in the market, Tony, because she's seemingly got quite a straightforward assignment in her semi-final.
Yeah, and the way the draws worked out, that's why you're sort of getting a little bit short of Ballymac Lucia. I would probably be with her on the each-way basis, because I think even if the Droopy's Deploy dog is different gear, Ballymac Lucia is going to be running on through beaten dogs, Dave. So I would be with Ballymac Lucia, regardless how good Droopy's Deploy supposedly is. Well,
there you go. Tune in to Off the Leash every week for great insight. Tony's going for the second favourite, and I'm going for the favourite. I'm going to go with Droopy's Deploy. We do tend to look for a little bit more value or further afield, but this time, in this case, we're going to go for the front 2 in the market. I'm going to go with Droopy's Deploy. I put up Yahoo Maisie price-wise in the Racing Post, and listen, I think she'll get to the final, and I think she's got a chance of getting off the front. But Droopy's Deploy, I think you might see a slightly different animal on Thursday night to the one that got lost at the turn. I think the switch out wide to track 5 might just help him, and we might see the real Droopy's Deploy in the Northeast this week. Right, it is that time for best bets of the week. Tony Bullen, open race correspondent of the Racing Post, back of the net last week. Hopey down at Hove. You can go anywhere you like for this week's best bet. We've got some fantastic racing at Hove and Newcastle on Thursday night, including the Northern Puppy Derby. Of course, Saturday night at Monmore, we've got the Ladbrokes Winter Derby. Where are we off to?
Yeah, I'm going to go, as I touched on earlier, I would have given Droopy's pivotal performance of the night last weekend, and at 3-1 to win that tricky third semi-final, that's going to be my nap, Dave. Hopefully we can turn in a handy enough position and prove too strong once again. 3-1's a fair price for me.
Lovely stuff. That's Droopy's pivotal, 7.56 at Monmore on Saturday night. I'm going to Romford on Friday night, the final race on the card, which is a really good 5.75 race. Now, Droopy's Eunice, a big competition winner, won the Essex Vars over course and distance recently. I think she's going to take a big share of the market on reputation that she recently won that competition. And I just wonder whether the well-drawn Scammer is going to be a backable price for us around the outside. I think he's the only seeded dog. Ballymac Miss goes in track 5, who's a railer, not the quickest into stride. And Scammer was very, very impressive coming from off the speed in a really flashy time. I think the 15 times champion trainer Mark Wallace is really getting a tune out of Scammer now. And in that final race, he goes from trap 6, he starts, he stays, and I think he's the one to beat there. He might not be favourite, I think he should be, but I think he'll be a backable price. So Tony's going with Droopy's pivotal, 7.56 at Monmore on Saturday night. I'm going with Scammer in the lucky last at Rob for the 9.46 on Friday night. Right, this has been Off the Leash, brought to you by the Racing Post. Do get involved, like, comment and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're watching us on Facebook, let us know your best bet of the week is. What did you make of Kilmore Dancer? There's so many different talking points. Put your thoughts in the comments below and we'll touch on them again on next week's show. Tony, as ever, thank you for your time and expertise. You out there watching, do remember to enjoy the Greyhound racing and gamble responsibly. And we'll see you next time.